All right, everybody, what's going on? And welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk, the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells coming at you, and we're gonna continue to get ready for these spring games. We have 5 games coming up on Saturday, so we're gonna talk about a little bit about those games and what I kind of expect, want to see from those games. And then we'll do a little recap on Sunday about these games, and I'm gonna try to do some stuff Saturday at Southern because I'm gonna be at that game. So try to bring you a little content from up there. So with that being said, man, y'all make sure y'all check out those socials: Facebook is Swag Talk, Instagram Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Like the video, share. Feel free to comment your thoughts on these upcoming games and what you want to see from some of these games. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Like I always say, my perspective on spring games is I don't expect, I don't expect to get a whole picture of anybody's team in the spring. I don't care if you got a veteran team or a young team. It's the spring, and with the portal and everything, some of these teams are going to look different once the season starts than they do now. So you may not have everybody who you expecting to contribute on the roster yet. Some guys are coming in, and somewhat then there are some guys you just haven't gotten yet, or a guy out with injury or whatever. So I'm not really expecting anything fancy or anything amazing from anybody. I'm not looking at anybody coming out of the spring and be like, oh, they're gonna win the SWAC this year. I'm just looking to see how guys, how if anybody's developed over time, if anybody took some steps to seem like maybe they're getting bigger, getting better, taking leadership roles, and just kind of seeing guys perform. So we're going to start off with the defending SWAC champs, FAMU. Their game is on Saturday. And basically, the main thing that I have an interest in at FAMU is going to be a theme for most of the teams on this show today, and that's quarterback. They have a two-man battle going on, Daniel Richardson and Junior Maritovic. Although I personally think Richardson is going to be the guy that's not to slight Muratovic because he's been there. He's a junior. He's been there. He's waited his turn. He has 2 starts, but nothing electric. So I don't really expect. I would be surprised if Richardson didn't win the job. That's not to say that that he's automatically going to get it, but he does have more experience on the field. So, but he's in a new offense for him, so that learning curve could be an issue. But I expect to see FAMU kind of show a little something, with that. They're breaking in some new receivers, or at least guys who weren't the top guys last year. They do, return a guy like Jamari Gassett who scored a couple big touchdowns last season. So that's the guy who's gonna really do some things. Um, but everybody else is kind of guys who are younger, or are some guys who have been around that haven't really played a lot. So that connection between the receivers and the quarterback is definitely going to be big. FAMU does have the luxury of returning one of the better offensive lines in the conference. They did lose some major pieces, but they still return some guys. So that should be a strength, and the run game should be a strength. Defensively, they still return some top guys like Anthony Dunn, Johnny Chaney, on the defensive line and linebacker core, respectively, Kendall Bowler in the secondary. But they also have added some other pieces. So you just kind of want to see FAMU get out there and under Coach Cozy and see what they can do. Not looking for a lot from them. I don't think they have a lot to prove right now, but I think they will. They're obviously going to be coming in. Um, as the favorite because they won it, but they do have a new coach, so we'll see how they do. So I'm not really looking for anything crazy from them. I just kind of want to see the quarterbacks in action, see the offense kind of do some things and see the defense continue to build on what they have. So they are one of the teams, even though they have a new head coach and they lost some important guys. I think they still are going to be a good team. So I don't really have a ton of questions for them. So I really kind of just want to see them in action. So not a lot to really speak on the defending champs right now. They'll get most of their coverage from me as we dip into the season. itself and fall camp and the lead up to that. So they're in a good position for to me. Obviously with the new coaches, the only question mark that's major. Anything else is natural and would have been a thing even if Willie Simmons was there. So there's nothing unexpected to look for with this team. So I don't really have a lot to say for them, and that's not to slight them, but that's just to say that they're in a pretty decent place for me right now. Next, we'll go to Mississippi Valley. The Delta Devils are a team who obviously they didn't have a good season last year under Coach Wade in his first year at Valley, but they've recruited pretty well for who they are. Um, they do return their quarterback in Tajarian Williams. So I think that can help. They are losing some of their top rushers and a few of the top guys in the receiving core, and the offensive line has always been an issue at Valley. When you don't have the numbers to really have the depth of a unit, that's always going to challenge you. Defensively, they're pretty. They were not as good as they were in recent years, and when I say good, I mean kind of grading on a curve. So for Valley, I just want to see them continue to grow. I want to see the guys who have come back from last year, see if anybody has kind of stepped up to the plate and challenging for jobs or cementing their self with a job and kind of coming out of this with the momentum to go into the season because with the new coach last season and everything, they had a really good off season. The problem was when the game started, nothing went right for them. This offense averaged only 249 yards per game, so didn't really have a lot going for them defensively. They gave up over 381 yards per game, so just didn't really have a lot going for them this past season. Coming off of that nice off season, and this season they've kind of done the same, kind of recruited fairly well. They're growing this program from the ground up. So I want to see if they have taken any steps. If they have any guys who are new that are coming in that are gonna be able to take charge, or some returning guys if they're gonna be able to make things happen and grow this program and not necessarily challenge for anything in particular, but just a team that can win 3 or 4 games. This team can put themselves in position to win 3 or 4 games. I think that goes a long way for them, and that really that would be a really successful season to me. Now, obviously, you want to win more games when you play, but at the same time, you don't really have that option when you're starting basically from the bottom. So, not Valley is like the the inverse of FAMU. I'm not looking for a lot from FAMU because I know what FAMU is, and I think they're going to continue to be that. Maybe not at the level they've been the last couple of years, but I think they're still going to be a top team in the conference. Valley, I take what I see from them with a grain of salt because they're going against guys on their team who haven't really done a lot. So I don't expect anything crazy from them, and I want to be surprised by them as the season goes on. So for me, I just want to see Valley get out there and compete. I want to see them compete. I want to see them yes, you're going against your own guys, and yes, I don't really expect a lot of high flying, big numbers in games like this, but I want to see them get out there and have fun and show out, and just put on a show and just have some fun. So just start to lay that groundwork for the fall camp and come out of this with no injuries, which I hope nobody has any injuries in these spring games, and just start to really focus on getting Valley to be a challenge for teams, and continue to grow and develop this program. So that's pretty much where I stand with Valley. Next, we move on to Texas Southern. Um, well, no, we'll go with Prairie View, the defending West champs. I should have did them at the Valley, but I just wanted to go ahead and talk about Valley. Prairie View, that defensively, I expect the defense to probably I don't want to say dominate, but probably, be out in front of the offense in this game. That defense returns a lot of guys. They only lose a few guys. They lose some big guys, but they only lose a few on defense. Offense, you're losing your quarterback, your top running backs, but you have a lot of good receivers coming back. Um, you have Trajan Spiller coming back, who's a guy who can really take the top off of a defense. You got Chris Herron coming back. He's a guy who was a quarterback at one point, and now he's playing receiver. Um, you have you have Savage coming back. So they have those weapons, but quarterback is gonna be where the question mark is, and not because of lack of talent, but they're gonna have a new guy under center. Jared Johnson is a guy who was on the who Jaden Johnson, excuse me. Jaden Johnson is a guy who who's been on the team for a couple years. Um, he is battling out with Cam Peters, who is a top guy coming in at quarterback. So that's a nice battle. The running back room is different. They have some talent. I like Connor Wisham a lot. He's a Baton Rouge area guy, and I watch him play in high school. So I think he has the ability to be a guy who can help this backfield. Um, and I think they'll just be able to, if they can find a way to get that offense going. They have a new offensive coordinator. They want to throw the ball around, so that could help. That could help them grow this offense. And so with them, I just want to see the new offense in action. Defensively, I just expect them. I expect them to kind of hold the fort, and probably carry them early in this season. So I think the defense will probably be ahead of the offense in this game. But I just want to see the offense in action. I want to see this new offense in action, and I want to see these quarterbacks what they can do, and just again build that excitement heading into the off season. So um, again, their questions for me are basically who's going to be the quarterback, and I want to see that backfield in action, and everything else I think is going to fall into place after that. And like I said, that's a theme for this weekend games. Most teams coming into games this weekend are um, in quarterback battles. So I don't really expect a lot to be formulated after these. I don't think any coach is going to name a starter after these games, unless somebody just totally falls off the cliff, so to speak. Um, so I don't, like I said, I don't really expect a whole lot in that aspect. But I just want to see guys in action. Next, we'll go to Southern next. Southern is a team who has a lot of questions coming back from last season. Last season was a disappointing 6-5 season. Coach got fired. That was a coaching search that some people didn't like. The guy who got the job may not have been a lot of people's favorite, but he's a guy who knows Southern and he's been around, and he's an established guy. In the coaching ranks. So for Southern, I want to see a few things, and some of these things can translate to other teams as well. But I want to see from Southern. I want to see which you're probably not gonna really get a lot of in a game like this because it's a spring game, and this is not the complete unit that you're gonna see in the season. But I want to see more discipline as a team, less pre-snap penalties, offsides on defense, which they did a lot last season. False starts on offense, I just want to see guys step up and not make those mental mistakes. Um, Obviously, quarterback Noah Biden is the most experienced guy there. Seems like he's been in college for 100 years, but he hasn't. But it seems like he has. This is like the first year that he probably is the guy, or at least the guy coming in. Can the young bucks can they challenge him? Um, so that's where I kind of stand on that. The running back room, is kind of getting a makeover to an extent. I know they have a couple guys banged up right now, but Kobe Dillon being able to come back from injury, can he get back to what he was in 21? The receiving core is a mix of guys. The offensive line is the biggest question for Southern. So I don't know if they're gonna have the numbers to do anything in this game. I don't know. I don't know about that depth, but that's the biggest question mark for me. A lot of people say quarterback, but when your O line was not good, you really want to get that straight first. So if you can see some things from them, that would be encouraging. Defensively, they lose a lot all over. The secondary has some guys coming back, but they lost some big guys like Jordan Carter and Kristen Davis in the secondary. Of course, you lose Taz Brown on defense, but you get some guys back. So you have that. You lose. You lose Jalen Campbell at linebacker, but you get Derek Williams back. So that's something that I think can help. I just want to see, like I said, I just want to see a better product. I want to see a more disciplined team, and I want to have that confidence coming out of spring that whoever is behind center is going to be protected well by the guys in front of them. Because the offense is going to have to take a big step this season because you're losing one of the better punters in the league, which to some people doesn't really matter. But when your offense is inept at times, you need that weapon to keep your defense in a better position. And Southern probably won the games they won because of their special teams, being able to flip the field so much when your offense is not moving the football. That helps your defense continue to stay on the field when they shouldn't have to. So just kind of seeing what Coach Graves is working with these guys heading into fall camp from here. Again, nothing's gonna be cemented either way. Um, but I just want to kind of see, see what's what, see if any of the young guys are gonna be viable assets this season. Any other guys who are returning who didn't play much, if they've taken a big step. That's some of the newcomers. So just kind of want to see a mix, but mainly I just want to see that discipline from Southern and see them taking those steps forward to become a better team as a whole. And finally, that takes us to Texas Southern. Um, New coach again, new coach, new systems. Um, this season should be Jace Wilson's team all the way. Last season he came in after Andrew Body went down, and he started a couple games when most people didn't know if he was gonna be the starter. But by midseason he took over that job and he was the newcomer of the year. He had a really good season. All things considered, I think he had a really solid season as quarterback. I mean, obviously, if you win newcomer of the year, you had a good season. Um, but for a guy who didn't expect to be that at that point, I think he did a very good job. You're losing your top two rushers, so that definitely is gonna hurt you. You do have some guys coming back who can help, but you're gonna be starting over in that respect. You're losing some guys off the O line. You're losing some receivers. Defensively, you're losing some key guys there as well. To me, it's more seeing what this team looks like in terms of how they're being led and how they're working, um, and just being able to say, okay, this team looks like they're gonna be moving forward at a good pace. So it's just really seeing what kind of energy they have and how Coach Dishman is acclimating to his team because this is a team who lost some guys and had so much uncertainty in the offseason leading up to this. So have they been able to start that buy-in process? What they're gonna look like as a whole. So don't really don't really have a ton of questions because when you have a new coach, especially a guy that hasn't been in the program, you don't really know what to expect. So my thing with this one is always I just want to see the energy. I just want to see the excitement. I want to see some buy-in. I want to see people in the fan base start to buy in. So I just kind of want to see that the key. I guess the key phrase for me with TSU is buy-in. I want to see that start, and having a quarterback as established helps a lot. Being able to put things around him, I think, is a lot easier than putting a new quarterback around a lot of weapons that are pretty decent. Having to have a quarterback learn on the job is always worse than a guy who's already been around. Even though it's going to be a new offense, you still have that experience to pull from. So, I've heard that there's a quarterback battle, but I don't really think it is. I think you allow that battle because everything's new. But I think the guy who played and started 10 games is gonna be the guy that comes out of this with the job. So if there's any team that I can say the quarterback should be established by the time the spring is over, that's TSU. Should be Jace Wilson going in, should be Jace Wilson coming out. And he should be the guy that takes starters reps in the fall. He should be the guy that comes out on the field against Prairie View as a starting quarterback. That's the only one that I can probably say with 100% certainty that I know that that's what that is. So buy-in is the thing for me with TSU. And that basically leads us to the end of this episode. I just want to see guys out there having fun with each team. I want to see, each team get their fan base some excitement and energy heading into the off season. These next couple months are gonna not have a lot going on in terms of actual things. So you want to have that little confidence and talking points and things before we get into media day and fall camp. And like I said, we'll be back on Sunday to recap these games as much as we can because information from a lot of these games are always hard to get. But we're gonna do our best to recap them. And like I said, I'll be at Southern, so you'll get a more detailed view from that game from me because I'll be there in person. And like I said, I'm gonna try to do something on Saturday as well. So keep it locked here and keep it locked to the socials. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment, and we'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.